That was perfection. Hello, everybody. It's Thursday, and that means it's Atomic Mass Transmissions Live. I'm your host, Dallas, and today we are going to be assembling some miniatures for your Marvel Crisis Protocol. Some upcoming characters that we are super excited to have and show off. We're going to be putting together our Okoye.
You really sold me on that one. Like, totally sold me. Really excited to
I was really excited.
Show off.
Look at this guy.
I love you.
Okay,
You can't look at me because I'm behind the camera today, but I'm here. I'm here in
Chick
spirit
is with
and
me
voice.
today. He's behind the camera. And he's here to guide the stream and to harass me. So he's going to perfect that inevitably. So we're going to be putting together Okoye and Shuri. Let's just do it. Let's just get going here.
Dive in, man. Dive in.
I mean, that's how we do, right?
You don't get a Josh today. Josh is out. He's busy with other things.
I see him. Oh, look at him creep.
He's got a... Josh, the camera's not even on.
The camera's not on.
That was amazing. That was like the most... That was the most useless ninjing I've ever seen.
Bye, Ninja Josh. All right, so we're going to start with Okoye. I've got a couple tools here. I got a little scalpel. I got my my razor blade.
Bring him over more into the camera. They can't see him.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I got my tweezers, my handy dandy tweezers. I never build anything without my tweezers. And my clippers.
What would you use tweezers for?
I like using tweezers. I mean, I have big chunky fingers, so I like holding parts together and just picking stuff up. It just gives you a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Fidelity.
Control?
It's like fidelity.
It gives you better sound? Interesting.
No, like finger fidelity.
Finger fidelity?
That's
I don't
thing.
think finger fidelity is a thing.
That's a thing.
I don't think so.
Fidelity. Look it up, internet. Tell me I'm right. You can just lie and say I'm right. I do not have the instructions, so I'm just going to put her together. And the big thing I'm going to do here is she's got a key on the bottom of her foot. Using my clippers, this side is the indent. It goes away from the part. This part, or this edge of the blade goes to the part. I'm just going to make sure we keep our little key there. I just turn it all every direction to find the best place to snip it. So you've put together your Okoye, right, Shik?
I've put together and painted both my Okoye and Shuri.
Yeah, I got mine painted.
Mm-hmm.
I got a game in the other day too.
You got to bring your hands.
Where are we at?
You're totally not. There you go. That's
How's
where you
that?
need to be. You're way off camera.
Now I'm not, right?
Now you're good.
Now I'm good. All right, perfect. Yeah, I got my Okoye and Shuri assembled and painted, and I really liked painting Shuri. She was a lot of fun to paint.
Yeah, I thought they were both like. I really liked painting Okoye. I had a lot of fun with like just trying to figure out the colors, and one of the things that I thought was really interesting was I used a lot of like some of the movie reference as well as the comic reference, and I didn't have the stat card with me when I was painting, so I just kind of like riffed off of that. Yeah. And I wound up with no bare arms, and then I've seen a bunch of them with bare arms because that's kind of how we did the character art and stuff. And it works really well both ways, so.
Just got a little key there. Just goes like that. I'm gonna hold that for a second. Yeah, I looked at the art from our banners.
Mm-hmm.
Was that's from a card too? What card is that?
No, that's her stat card art.
Oh, that's her stat card. Yeah, and I did the studio one has a yellow top. Mine has a red top. I think yours has the red top as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she was a lot of fun to paint. And I did the tattoos on her face, and that's why I like really enjoyed painting. I mean, I enjoyed painting everything so far. I say Shuri. When I said earlier, I said Shuri. I really enjoyed painting her, but I like painting her little. She's got the little dots.
Yeah,
tattoos.
She has the ceremonial like face paint.
Yeah, Okoye has
She has the red tattoos.
The red tattoos, the lines. But I just enjoyed painting the little dots. They were a lot of fun to paint. You kind of have fun with them. Mine weren't in the same spot as the studio ones painted by Brendan, so I just kind of had fun and placed them around, and they ended up turning out pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have a lot of creativity when it comes to like how you tackle that stuff, and then Also just color choices, because she's got a couple of different layers. Like Okoye has a couple different layers of cloth, and you can do reds, or you can do browns, or you can do like all different kinds of shades. And it was fun to kind of play with those colors and get something that felt very, very African, in a way, in terms of like the earthy tones.
Yeah, those reds and yellows, right? I played with my yellows a lot. I really desaturated them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I shaded them with like a tan brown.
Yep.
And then I brought up the saturation yellow for the highlights, and it made it really interesting looking.
Yeah, I used a lot of like ochre and like tans for my stuff.
I could see somebody really leaning into like the desaturated ochres, like you said, and just keeping the saturation low. But I can also see like really cranking it up, and like really bringing in that real vibrant yellow.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and with Shuri, it was fun too, because she has a lot of black going on in her pants and stuff. But what I did is I used a lot of purple to really like bring up the black, and so the black is more of like a really super dark purple.
Oh, cool.
And then when it catches the light, it ties her into like Black Panther, because I did purple glazes on the metals and stuff, and so it's fun how you can kind of tie in colors together while making them really different.
So one thing I like to do when I'm assembling stuff is, it's always, you never want to drop something. So I have a nice big open space for my assembly. I like also some tips and tricks. I like, if you're feeling like you might drop something, get a cardboard box lid and build over that, because you don't want to drop and lose stuff. So I'm just got this big open area. I'm just slowly working my way through. I'm going to get her skirt ready.
I know some people like to put down like a towel.
Yeah, because that keeps it
stops
from
it from bouncing.
Yeah, it just goes boop.
Mm-hmm.
All right, skirt is really, really well keyed. Just kind of goes like that.
You had a game recently where you were out in the wild playing with your Wakandans, didn't you?
Yeah, I played the full Wakanda. I did Black Panther, Killmonger, Okoye, Shuri. Had some points left over, so I took Venom.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of fun. The game was super interesting. Weirdly, Venom worked really well with him.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but he worked really well with them. It was a lot of fun to play. I was able to score, really take control of, it's kind of interesting, right? It's like, they really played really well with, I wasn't really doing a lot of damage and dishing out, pain or punishment, and taking tokens away from people, which is kind of how I like to play. It's like, oh, you got a token? I'm going to take that token. This was definitely more just get off that objective.
Yeah.
Using Venom, Black Panther, and Shuri.
There's a lot of control elements for sure with your pushes, just a lot of pushes.
A lot of pushes. And just, oh man, Black Panther's so speedy. I love him.
Yeah, I like Black Panther a lot. I think he's got a really interesting mix of he's a fast tank, so he just runs and he sits on a point and he's like, all right, well, deal with me and see if you can, and it's hard. He's tough. He doesn't do particularly a lot of damage until he can really power up.
Until you do the kinetic blast, right?
Yeah, if you power up the kinetic blast, you mantle the Black Panther, you're going to do some serious, you can do some work, but for the most part, his basic attack is outside of a really strong roll. It's mostly there for the push.
Mantle is really good. I like Mantle.
Mantle is pretty amazing.
So
Rerolls are surprisingly really good. Who knew?
This is drying, so I want to be very careful, and I want to make sure I don't get too ahead of myself on this. I want to put the side flaps on her skirt. And I'm just using a toothpick. I don't go straight out of the bottle. Am I not in the camera?
No, you're good. I'm just going to see if I can get a little more in on the action.
I'm all over the place.
Don't move your hands from there.
I'm not going to move my hands. That just snaps right like that. Easy peasy. Yeah, I like we were able to keep a lot of this dynamic cloth on Okoye. Like a lot of times if you try to keep all that cloth together, because the angles of plastic and stuff like that, you can kind of lose some of that dynamism in certain areas, right?
A lot of that has to do with undercuts, right?
Yeah, there's like a whole scientific, like, I mean, there's a whole, I mean, you can go to school for this stuff. This is like undercuts, pull direction, flow, you know, like there's so many variables. Yeah, that looks awesome. And that key, these are just big old nice keys, right? They just go right in, and everything just fits around, and then the different cloths keep that separation. So it's nice. I didn't even have to gap fill my Okoye when I put mine together. It was just like everything just made sense. I'm gonna use a little bit of super glue right there. Just a big old key. I'm gonna start from the top, flip it down. Probably should have checked that fit in case there was like a little piece of plastic in there. But we got it. Boom. Look at that. All right, there's my legs. To the torsos. All right, she has some keys on her shoulders. I'll try to maintain those. I'm going to use, I have a small scalpel and I like cleaning up with that. I'm going to check all these fits before gluing the torso on. Because one thing that's always tricky is two hands holding a weapon. So I want to make sure I get this right. I feel like my clippers are a little big for this. So I'm going to put this on the ground.
Somebody just mentioned on the chat that without Josh here, the stream could go forever.
Could
I think the
literally
problem
go
is
forever.
that you're going to run out of things to do after you've assembled your two characters, though.
There's more miniatures.
There are more, but we'd have to go get them, and I think Josh would take the opportunity to stop us at that point.
So instead of using my clippers here,
hmm
I want to use my knife. I'm going to get as close as possible and just slice these bits off. Just like that.
Man, I don't think I've seen this technique for like a long time.
Sometimes it just, I'm going to be honest, I don't have the best clippers.
You gotta go sharpen them up.
They've seen better days.
They've been well used.
They are well loved. So I'm going to go ahead and take all the parts off. I'm going to clean these up.
So you started with the torso, you attached the back flap for the cloth, and now you're just building your off-camera, bud.
I'm off camera again
You
because
are.
I'm the worst. Yep, I got the legs and everything, and I want to make sure because I want to make sure I get this hands right. You know, you got a two-hand weapon coming together, so you got like basically 4 points of contact. And I like making sure I get that right. I want to clean up my spear a little bit. So I'm just going to clean up everything and fit everything before I go committing to glue. All right, that's clean, that's clean. Let's clean up the head. I'm not going to put the head on for a little bit. I'm going to leave the head for the very, very end.
You're falling off camera again.
I know.
Well, then, if you know, stop doing it.
I gotta have something for you to yell at me about.
Is that it?
That's it.
I mean, we could have like such better conversations than me just being like, get back on camera. Stay on target. Stay on target.
That's what they want to hear.
Is that what they want to hear?
They want to hear me get
I
yelled
don't think
at.
that's true. I don't think that's true.
Cut so far away from her neck. I gotta clean up quite a bit of sprue.
I'm getting yelled at for wrong franchise comments now.
I bet. That's what you get. All right.
So you're off camera again.
I know.
Well, stop doing it.
I did it on purpose. All right, I like to double check this. I want to get this just right. So my goal here is to get one arm on in the exact right spot.
I mean, I found with the key, it's pretty easy to put it in the right spot.
It is pretty easy. I just want to double check, right? I'm a double checker. Another thing I'm going to use, I'm going to switch to plastic glue now.
Yeah, so you've been using super glue the whole time because you like that.
I like super glue.
But now you're going to use my favorite, which is the plastic cement. And personally, like we talked about this beforehand, but like you talked about how you had a little bit of challenge with getting the hands to line up. The thing I love about the plastic glue here is that you have a working time and it bonds almost, like it bonds instantly, but it still allows a working time. So you can fiddle with it to get the right fit. And I think it just makes this process so much easier. So it's always good to have both.
I should check this arm too. I want to make sure that fit works. Just to double check. Yes. As long as I don't get stringies.
Stringies?
Yeah, the little stringies from plastic glue. Those make me grumpy. So I'm just going to attach that arm. It's nice and low. Attach this arm. It's nice and high.
So you're getting questions, what do you like for gap filling?
Everything. I don't have one answer to that. I use super glue. I use putty. I use super glue. I use putty. Mainly super glue and putty. I don't have a preference. It's whatever is easiest for the job, because I always feel like sometimes I'm just going to get that. Hang on.
Oh, he's going into the tank.
I had to hold it a second. It just depends on what I'm doing. Like if it's a little tiny gap in a high detail area, I'd rather use putty. Does that make sense? Because I can get just the slightest amount of putty. I can put it in there, and then I can actually sculpt a little bit. So like if it's like near a rope or say like a wrinkle, right? I maintain that. If it's like a bigger area, I like using the super glue trick, which you've used as well.
You can do it with super glue or plastic.
Or the plastic glue.
Or the plastic glue.
You put a little bit of glue on there, you let it cure for a little bit, and then you can sand it. Or I actually just use the back of the blade and I scrape like this.
It works. That method works great for like torso joins.
Yeah.
Or like arm joins where you have two halves of an arm or something.
And these are all, I mean, those are tricks like, these have been in the hobby for 30, 40 years. It was like backs of the blade and super glue trick, where you do a little bit of that. You do a little bit of super glue in there, and then you sand it, and then the sanding particles fall in there, and it makes like a
it makes like a slurry,
plastic slurry, right? And that's what we want to teach, right? Is like that's our goal here at Atomic Mass is, we want to be a positive, hobby experience. Give people the skills and the know-how to get into the miniature hobby.
You're way off camera.
I know I'm way off camera. My hand. Look at my hand. Look over here. Look at this awkward bend to my elbow. I'm gonna just put her torso onto her legs. Boop.
There you go. You came back. You came back.
Just like that. I'm gonna hold that awkwardly.
But the other nice thing about using the glue trick as opposed to putty is that obviously the glue dries way faster, so you don't have to wait 8 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours for your stuff to cure.
Yeah, if it's like I said, if it's like in a big flat area, I like the super glue. If it's in a high detail area, I'll get out the putty, I'll put the putty on, and that way I can sculpt, right?
Yeah.
Like you do this long enough, you pick up a couple tricks, and you can manipulate the putty.
Yeah, and there's a ton of different, like, not even putty options, but there's the 2-part epoxy putties. There's the stuff that just comes out of the tube.
Yeah,
like Vallejo's got one.
Vallejo makes a really good one.
Vallejo's got one that's like marble dust, which is interesting, and you can kind of almost paint it on. You've got,
I'm gonna go ahead and glue her to her base.
Tamiya, all kinds of options. Like, there are so many different options out there. So you can find the one that works. I personally really don't like having to use 2-part epoxy putty, although you have to at times. But it's definitely it's definitely the one that I don't like working with the most. It just requires the most work, right? You got to chapstick up your fingers and your tools and
knocked her over
to make sure nothing sticks.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that's why people go, well, what's your preferred? And I'm like, well, I don't have a preferred. I'm the right tool for the job kind of person, right? It's like,
well, like we talk about a little bit, like what's the end goal of the miniature, and if that end goal is to be like a great tabletop miniature, I'm not necessarily going to worry about making all of the gaps perfect on undersides and where people, because I don't know about you, but I don't normally pick up a miniature and immediately turn it upside down to be like, well, you missed all these gaps on the bottom here.
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
You didn't paint.
It's like,
hard pass.
If I'm doing something for a competition,
well, that thing's under a microscope.
That thing's under a microscope, right? It's like in every single seam, every single mold line, everything. And it doesn't even matter what material, metal, resin, plastic. You put putty on, you smooth it down, you give it a little airbrush with it to like make everything the same tone and catch the light better, and then you see where there's still like a little bit of gap, and then you put more putty on or more glue, and you sand it down. Like you make it pristine, right? But for tabletop, I got some gaps.
One of the things that I learned like way back when is just hold it out about arm's length and look at it, because that's where you're always going to see it.
That's where you're going to see it.
Like that's where other people are going to see it. That's where you're going to see it. It's just hold it out.
Yeah.
Take a look at it. Does it look good from there? It's great.
I've got miniatures where you can go over it with a fine-tooth comb and you'll never find where the breaks were. And then like I got other miniatures because they're for my tabletop games, right? I don't care, right? You can, like it's for gaming, right? It's like I can have a little gap,
Yeah, it's just going to happen.
And I'm a little more and then there's even levels of that, right? It's like I'm more cautious than, say maybe you, but I still leave like little gaps, right? It's just like I go,
For me, it really, it kind of just comes down to like what am I working on? When I'm working on these characters, because I'm only going to do one Shuri or one Okoye, I'll take my time and I'll spend that extra 20 minutes, 30 minutes like making them more perfect. But if I have to do like 10 grunts, no, I'm sorry. Like my hobby time is a set amount, so I'm going to spend that budget accordingly.
Exactly.
And it's just like, okay, well, I have 2 hours of hobby time. I'm going to spend it no matter what what am I going to spend it on? And that's one of the things I really love about skirmish games in general. And obviously, one of the things that really excites me about Marvel is the fact that you get to just spend extra time making these characters just a little bit more fancy, and yet it's not soul crushing because you don't have to do it 20 more times.
Yeah, that's what. It's. Sorry, I was.
You had to think about your glue.
I had to think about my glue first.
What do you got going on right now? You're putting together her legs.
I'm going to go ahead and put together Shuri's legs. While Okoye is curing up before I put her head on. We're kind of skipping around. So I went and cleaned up her legs. I do her legs first on Shuri, and this just goes right into the lower torso here, and it keys right in really nice. Yeah, you spend a little extra time and you have fun, and you hobby to your enjoyment, not no one else's, right? It's not a competition. I just love seeing people's painted stuff on the table and playing games with them. So whatever you put into it is the right amount for me. Boom, that leg just goes right in like that. It's super easy.
Yeah, part of it is just, it's like when you do something silly or you trip or something or fall down in public and you get up and you're like, oh my God, everyone saw it. They're all going to make fun of me. They're going to remember it forever. You're the only one who's ever going to remember that.
Yep.
And like, it's not to be harsh, but your miniatures are kind of the same way. You're always going to be your worst critic.
Yep.
You know, unless you're telling somebody, judge me.
Exactly.
Which nobody is judging. Like, no one walks to a table who you should, really be associating with and immediately starts judging your miniatures if you're just out there to play a game, right? They're going to be like, oh, those are cool. They're painted. I love it. And then they're going to be like, I wish mine were better. Like,
I get asked a lot to give feedback and critiques on paint jobs, but if you don't ask me for it, and if you just show up with your miniatures and you put your heart into it, I won't ever critique it. I will be like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen every time, because it is the coolest thing because you loved it. And, but if you ask me to critique it, then we'll have a critique session, and that's different. But I just love everybody's little painted armies, and like you said, these are great because like I get to put together my favorite characters, and like I get to focus on one.
Yeah, you just get. I mean, it's a great way to kind of enhance your skills, to try new things. I've never mixed as many paints as I have working on this game, like any other time, because you only have to do it once. So I can make like a weird black purple for Shuri's pants that I can't remember how I did it, but it is what it is, right? And it makes them more personal, more a piece of art, all that stuff. We have a question though I got to get back to before it goes off the screen.
No.
Yes. So we had a video about this a little while ago, but some of the characters, because they're wearing costumes, have a little softer details, like Cap's torso stripes, because you don't want to look like it's going into his flesh, because that'd be creepy. Or like Black Panther's suit lines, again, because you don't want those to like look like they're cutting into actual muscle.
Yeah.
The question really is like, so how do you kind of approach those when you're painting? How do you deal with those?
I mean, the cool thing is we did a video.
Yeah, we did do a video on Cap.
I painted Captain America. So, yeah, like the lines on Captain America's torso, right? If those were a little deeper, I'm afraid they would look like you said. It look like they're like cut into him, right? Like they'll be like what's the word I want? Like look unnatural, because that's a very skin tight.
Yeah, I mean these guys are all wearing like leotards, right? So there's a little bit of a thing, right? You go too deep and you're like, oh my gosh, that's like, he's wounded.
If you go too deep, they look wounded. But the way we approach it is, it doesn't have to be perfect. What I did is I painted very lightly with a zenithal prime, and then I very lightly glazed in the red, and then I drew in the lines around it, like framing the red but not being perfect, because you can still see the lines, and it'll still take a bit of a wash, right? You'll still there's still enough of a channel there, and then you just do the white. You just add a little bit of white, and if you prime it white, you only need like a little bit of highlight on it, and it'll look great off the tabletop. So really, it's about minimizing your effort almost.
Right. Well, yeah, I think that's kind of the real trick. Like on Panther, I did one with suit lines and one without suit lines. And the way that you approach it, if you want to do the suit lines, is you have to take a little bit more time, and you can't, a lot of times you're like, well, you can just base coat the whole thing, then you can go back. But with those kind of like those cloth lines, because they're a little shallower, you kind of want to block it out, like you said. So if I'm going to paint all of the suit lines a little different, then I'm going to do my best and not have my colors run over. I'm really going to use it like a coloring book. I don't want to go outside those lines.
Yeah, I definitely approached Panthers like you don't want those to be heavy trim. Right?
You did yours more like it's just a black suit with some, and those lines just give a detail.
They give a detail, right? Because if they were real thick and if they were real thick, they'd be like a heavy, bulky trim, and he would not look sleek. And if they were super inset, they wouldn't look quite right either.
Right.
So I treat them like you would treat like an art and like an illustration. It's like those are just accents. So I just accented mine, and then focused on his form.
Yeah, and I know that the studio one that Brendan did, he took from the illustration, from the concept art, from the comics we used. Those lines are really blue. They're really kind of like, it's like two fabrics that have been stitched together in a way. And so he played that up really well. And I did kind of the same thing on my second Black Panther, which was also on video, where I took silver and purple ink and I mixed them together to create like this really vibrant purple. And then I started knocking out the lines to kind of give him that glowing. And I've seen a couple more people do this on social media, which has been really cool, is like kind of give him that glowy, like vibranium charged look.
So you got 2 arms and 2 panther gauntlets. So this arm is her outstretched arm. I'm talking about Shuri. I went ahead and glued Okoye's head on. So Okoye is done. Easy peasy. Shuri, I don't have the instructions in front of me, so I got to double check and make sure what I got here. So this is her outstretched arm. You can see that the key here. Can you see that on the screen there? Can you see that?
Yeah, they will in a second. We're a little behind you.
You're a little behind. This key is nice and big, and it's very centered. In her crooked arm over here, the key is actually a little offset. And if you look at the bottom of the panther gauntlets, these will be numbered on the instructions. This key is centered and this key is offset. So I want this one. I want this panther gauntlet that is very centered. And I'm just going to clip right next to it. I want this panther gauntlet. And I'm just going to clean that up just a little bit. And I'm going to glue that in there. I'm going to use, because it dries so fast, I'm going to use a little bit of super glue for this. So I'm just going to use my toothpick. I always glue with toothpicks. You know this, right? Like I always glue with toothpicks. I'm going to take that. I'm going to put that right there. And that gives me my outstretched arm panther gauntlet. I'm just going to set that aside. No, I don't want to touch it. I'm not going to try to put I'm not going to put that on the body. I'm not going to put the jaw in it yet. I'm going to set that aside and let that cure a bit. And then I'm going to do the other arm as well. So this is the crooked arm. This is her right arm. She's got this one pulled back, all dynamic. Just do a little clip. A little clip. I already know that this is the correct panther gauntlet for this side. So I'm going to clip that out and I can just clean them back to back and put them together. Just like that. Just clean that up just a little bit. It doesn't take much. Once you prime that and paint it, perfection. So, this I put together a lot of miniatures in my life. A whole lot. And sometimes you gotta learn a couple little tricks.
Whoops.
It's all right. So I'm just gonna put that right there like that. Is that right?
I like how you got quieter to make sure that the part would actually stick right.
Well, yeah. It's like turning down the radio so you can see better when you're driving.
That's right. I don't know where I am. Shh.
It's like, I can't see that road sign. I better turn down the radio.
Exactly. The noise is visual. So
What's it called? There's a word for it. It's like when there's stimulation happening. There's a word for it. I can't remember what it was. All right. Go ahead. What was the question?
Oh, so we had a question about where you were putting your glue so it wouldn't dry.
What do you mean?
Because you're using the toothpick. So like, what are you using to hold the glue?
Oh,
you have a little well.
So I got a little well over here. It's just a little piece of silicone that just holds glue. Sometimes I just use an old blister pack. The other day, I was at home and I actually took a base, as you can see here, and
Yep, and just made a little well out of it.
I just have a little well of glue. Like I just use whatever.
I won't even lie. I've used Post-it notes before on
I've
my
used
desk.
Post-it
Like
notes,
you just
wax
let it kind
paper.
of absorb and then use it that way.
Yep.
You can kind of use anything. I think the real thing is you just have to accept the fact that you're going to have glue waste because it is going to dry on you. Even with a well, it's going to dry on you. But it's just the control is so much more worth it.
Super glue. I mean, super glue is an expendable. Like it's a consumable, right? It's being used. So I just put glue on something because I'd rather waste this entire drop of glue and use my toothpick for control than take this bottle and smash it up against that Panther gauntlet, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just not worth it, right? The $3 bottle of glue is not worth it. So I'm going to cut out 2 of these Panther jaws, just like that. And I'm going to hold my fingers like this. I'm going to bring my clippers in there, and I can see I'm pinching. And I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to put it just like that. So these are small bits. And I'm just going to hold between 2 fingers, and I'm going to lightly trim it. There's a little bit of plastic on the back of the jaw. I want to make sure that's gone. Just going to roll it in my hand till I get it right. Just like that. Easy. And then this is why I use tweezers. So I'm going to do it just like this. Whoops. I pinched too hard. Just like that. My lord.
Oh, you're struggling here.
I'm
See, you were
struggling.
worried about Okoye. She went completely smooth. You told me Shuri was going to be a piece of cake, and now here you go.
I'm pinching too hard. There we go. I probably don't even need the tweezers. So you see that little key? That's what we want. I'm just going to take my little bit of glue. Just a little drop. Set my toothpick aside. I'm just going to right, just like that. You can use your finger. First one's done. I don't even need this. We're going to go the opposite way. Take the Panther gauntlet. A little bit of glue. Take your time. This is not a race. A little bit of glue down in that socket. Get my Panther jaw ready. Bring it right together. Just like so. Oh, open it up. Open up! Just like that. Now we got a cool Panther gauntlet. Gotta remember not to pinch so hard. Alright, all we got left is her head and hair. Do we got any questions?
No, nothing about what you're doing right now.
Well, they all want to know secrets and
They
stuff.
do want to know. See, we got a lot of questions that I can't answer, unfortunately. So yes, there's lots of questions, but nothing about this. I think they're all just enraptured watching you work.
I'm just going to cut out all these pieces. Like so. I know where all these go. Don't forget our little rock. It's just going to be attached to. I want to clean these up. So I'm going to start with the head. It's got some flash on the bottom. Just scrape that away. Then her hair. So I'll snip there.
Acknowledge the UK. We love you, UK. Is that what we wanted here? I'm not sure.
What do you mean acknowledge the UK?
That was the statement that was made.
We love the UK.
Acknowledge the UK. Show some love. It's not a question. I didn't think it was.
I didn't think it was either.
Some of my favorite people are from the UK.
I've been there once. It was super nice. It was a lot of fun.
Ooh, who do you enjoy on the table more, Shuri or Okoye?
Ooh. So I will say, in my game the other night, they worked really well as a team. So my opponent had Iron Man sitting on a objective on a size 4 piece of terrain. It was like a tall piece of terrain like this big. The objective was on top. Iron Man was on top of it. And Iron Man kept trying to repulsor blast or homing rockets Shuri, because Shuri was on the objective. But Okoye kept taking the hit from bodyguard, and then Shuri would wait until Iron Man activated. Then Shuri would activate, and Panther Gauntlet Iron Man off his objective. So I was scoring, and poor Iron Man wasn't. They were kind of alone on the flank over there. There was a MODOK, but MODOK was near Iron Man, but MODOK got Killmongered, and then Killmonger went over to Red Skull, and so he kind of left Okoye and Shuri alone because he was just like, "You ladies got this." He's like, "I'm going to go take care of that guy."
Oh man, I really like. I mean, I like both for different reasons, but Shuri's. If I had to pick one, I mean, Shuri is kind of my favorite. But I love the way she can control the table, and upgrades is just phenomenal.
Upgrades is super good.
Like, it's so good.
I think a lot of it's also play style, right? It's like, I got a lot of friends that we play a lot of games over the years, and like some people have a very defensive, a very, I would say not reactive, but very defensive play style. They want to tank and they want to be around for a long time. My play style is definitely more of, I like counters and denial. So Shuri definitely fits in that play style. So I think there's always something for somebody, right? I don't think anything's innately better. It's just play style and preference has to be a fact, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I think that, one of the things that I really enjoy about MCP in general is the fact that, like, Okoye would probably, like, be in a decent amount of my 10 roster list, because I think that 2-point utility that she brings is super good. Like, a 2-point bodyguard to protect some of your bigger guys, especially once we start talking about, like, heavy hitters like Thor and all of that stuff that's coming. Captain America is amazing, and I love Cap, and I think that he has a place in a lot of lists. But I don't know that I always want my 4-point Avengers leader taking the hits. Like Vibranium Shield or no, there are times where I'm just like, I don't really want to throw Cap in front of that. He's got other things he needs to do.
But a 2-point.
But Okoye, like that's her job. Yeah. She's there to take the hits, and
it's almost her prime directive, right?
It is. So
it's a cool ability on Cap, but it's Okoye's like.
Yeah. And I think, the other thing too, like with Okoye, is that you shouldn't underestimate kind of the work she can do in clutch situations. It's a lot like Widow.
Well, what's her attack called? It's the two. It costs 2. 5.
Oh, the Vibranium Spear Thrust?
Yeah.
It's more than that. I think it's cost, I don't have the card in front of me, but I'm pretty sure it's cost 4. But it's strength 5, which is not great. However, she might get to flurry on the wild, and then she gets to attack again.
Yeah.
So she definitely has moments where it's like, yes, she can pull some work if she needs to. And the consistent range attack, range 4, energy, strength 4,
super
gains
good.
1 power. Like, that's pretty good too, especially for somebody who wants to kind of sit back and maybe babysit somebody on a point or anything like that. Like
I said, that's what mine did. Okoye and Shuri just babysat a point, and they just did they did the work. They did the job that needed to be done.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just like the amount of control that Shuri can play with, and those Panther gauntlets, man, I love them. I love them so much. They're so good.
My Shuri, I'm almost done. I'm almost out of miniatures.
You're almost done? Look at that.
Done.
It's going to take an hour. Josh is going to be so happy.
What, do you think it's going to take me long?
No.
Boy's got to trust me.
Does he have to trust you?
Yes. Look at me. I have a trustworthy face. Oops. Her arms key right under her like shirt collar. Pow! Pow! I'm going to use super glue to put her on her base. While we were chatting about play styles and stuff,
you did the other gauntlet.
I did the gauntlet, and I glued her rock to her foot. I'm going to put the rock to the base. I'm going to slide this back just a touch.
See, now what I did on mine, you picked the wrong base. You picked the one with the taller curb, or the wider curb, and you can actually stick her on the curb. Gives her that extra height.
For the extra height?
Mm-hmm.
I bet that looks really cool.
It looks nice. It looks nice.
So all we got left is the ponytail, and I'm going to let everything cure just a second before I attach the ponytail, because everything's like all sticking out now, so I don't want to rush. So that's all that. Okoye assembled. I got a little bit of glue, nothing left but a ponytail. For this, I'm going to go back to the plastic glue, actually. What that's going to do is give me a little bit of time to play and get that it's going to get that ponytail set just right. And it fuses. So interesting thing about the plastic glue, it actually melts the plastics together. It's kind of cool. I'm just going to do the tiniest little bit. Right, there's just a little key right there. Get rid of the stringy. Oh, Josh is going to be mad at me. I got glue on this tablecloth.
Oh no.
And this just goes right there. Just like so. That's it, dude. I guess we can put a cup on the base. since you're answering questions.
I know, I'm typing like a madman over here. Sorry, you got to fill the space. Fill the space.
You're
it's
writing.
all on you.
You're writing like a whole like novella.
It is. It's a huge novella. Not really. It's just a very small text box.
All right. I'm just gonna put a cup on. Let's put a cup on Shuri's base. A little bit of glue right here for you. Putting on the cup on base. What? Boop. Now little base decorations. That's it. I got Okoye and Shuri assembled.
You got Okoye and Shuri assembled. Well, we can only see one of them because one of them's off camera. So you've completed this stream as you started this stream, which was
completely off camera.
Completely off camera.
How about that?
Perfect. You nailed it. Nailed it.
There.
There you go. There you go.
That's the one.
All right. So final thoughts on approaching these characters because they're coming out to everyone. They're going to be in stores.
Do we have a date?
Yeah, the 17th.
17th.
January 17th.
It's them?
That's the expected date. I've been told no different. So it's them and Venom.
Oh man, Venom.
So we haven't done a build for Venom, but he's kind of a chonky boy. I don't think there's anything too tricky about him.
I mean, honestly,
and there's nothing particularly tricky I would say about these guys. But thoughts, advice, go.
Advice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's learning, right? It's take your time and use the right tools. Like I said, I like my tweezers for everything. I love using the toothpicks to control how much glue because you don't want a whole lot of glue, like especially in those like, if you get those little panther gauntlets, you got that little key there and you fill that full of glue. You go to put that piece of plastic up in there, you get that hydraulic effect and it could push it out. So tiny amounts of glue. Take your time, be patient, and enjoy the build, right? You can do this. It's a lot of fun once you get your miniatures together so you can get them painted up and get them on the table. Stay positive, stay focused. That's my final thoughts.
Get some tweezers.
Get some tweezers.
I mean, it's really easy to find tweezers, but tweezers, like they're a very useful tool
for everything.
overall.
For every kit, I think every kit I've ever put together, I've used tweezers for something. Maybe not every kit, but you know what I mean. All
right. Well, with that, we'll take you to the outro then, I guess.
We're going to go to the outro?
I think so, unless you have something else you want to do.
Unless they have any questions. Do they have any final questions before we go?
They don't have anything yet for you. They've got one more. Oh, what do you do about glue spots on the bases?
Glue spots on the bases? Scrape them off.
You scrape them off?
Yep. So like we can actually show that real quick because I got a little spot of glue there on Shuri, right? I don't know if they can see that. Can you see that in the preview?
Yeah.
There's like a little glue there where I put her base there first, and then I changed mine. Gone. That's it. Just scrape it away. Just scrape it away. That should be like a song.
Just scrape it away?
Just scrape it away. No? Okay.
I don't know. I mean, you could do it. It sounds too depressing to me. I'm not
AMG, the hobby album?
I'm not into it. That's definitely not on our hobby album for sure.
Okay, fine.
All right, here we go. We're going to you.
You already went to me.
No, I haven't gone to you. Now I've gone to you. Now it's happening. So roll us out. Next week, what's happening? Tell us all the good stuff.
I like the intimidating pressure you put me under.
What do you mean?
So next week, I have no idea what we're doing. What are we doing? Do we have a plan?
I'm unaware. Josh is not here to tell us the plan. I'm going to guess that we're probably going to do some hobbying, and we might do another unboxing.
Oh.
Of course, we also have like the Snowmageddon coming to Seattle, so maybe we won't even be here next week. I don't think so either. I think it's a lot of hype and no actualities.
So if you're interested to see what we end up doing, because we don't obviously know what we're doing yet, every Thursday, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, you can join us here at Atomic Mass Games /Twitch.
Just do what I do, because I can never remember it either. It's just, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Yeah.
And of course, always check out our website for all the latest and greatest information on Atomic Mass Games.
He's got it memorized.
AtomicMassGames.com. I know, because I was going to do the outro. And now I just did it for you, so I didn't make you any better.
See, I did that?
This is like when I ask you to help me paint something, you just take it, you're like, oh, you do it like this, and then you hand it back, and you're like, well, you just did it.
I just did it. Look at that.
That's not teaching me how to do anything.
So anyways, thanks for joining us, and we hope that this gave you a little bit of confidence you need to tackle your miniature assemblies. And remember, be patient, take your time, and you'll have it assembled in no time. So until next time, we will catch you later.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next Thursday.
Bye-bye.
All right, well, that was a thing. It happened, yeah. Are you counting right now?